Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas. Welcome to our 8 nights of street fights. Each day leading to Christmas, Brad and I will revisit every WWE Miracle on 34th Street fight. Brad, we made it. The overlay looks great. For our viewers, if you are not familiar with what I'm talking about, check us out on YouTube on the 19 Media Groups page. Brad, I'm so excited to be here with you. How are you, my friend, and how stoked are you to talk about the 2011 match pitting Randy Orton against David Otunga?
I'm doing so well. Thank you, Tyler. As always, it's great to see you. I think this has been the product of something that we've been thinking about all year. We're like, what are we going to do for Christmas this year? What is it we're going to talk about? And when we realized the Miracle on 34th Street fights have been happening for a while, what better way than to break them down to celebrate the holiday season and bring around the Christmas stuff. So I'm pumped. Let's get into it. Randy versus Otunga.
Yeah,
what did you think of this?
Oh, I had some notes here. So
Okay.
This was, again, 2011. So we're talking a solid 10 plus years ago. I haven't thought about David Otunga in so long. Jennifer Hudson's former boo. I'm just going to run through my notes here, Brad. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts aside from the notes. And then I want to hear what you think. So in order, I put Tony Chimmel, Josh Matthews, Michael Cole. Matthews dressed as an elf. That was a choice.
Yeah.
It didn't really do anything for me, but
No.
he looked very spirited.
Haunting.
Orton has been over for 2 decades, Brad. This match felt just like something we would see Orton do from earlier this year, especially with his work next to Matt Riddle, RK Bro. Randy Orton's been over, I don't know, since the day that man was born. It's crazy. Wade Barrett interference in this match, so I did appreciate the acknowledgement of Otunga's role in Nexus. What untapped potential in that group. They took out John Cena. It seemed like, okay, these are the guys that are going to bring us into the future of WWE. Didn't quite work out that way, but we saw a young Wade Barrett. And then finally, I love Randy Orton's draping DDT. We saw it in this match, but in a different way. He DDT'd Otunga from the inside of the ring to the outside, which I thought looked super cool. And of course, we got a massive RKO. I think this hit a lot of notes, Brad. I don't know if this is my favorite one when we end up ranking all of our matches by the time we're finished with our full project here. But I really enjoyed this match. It was entertaining, and we got an RKO. So I think everyone went home happy. What did you think?
I second everything you said. I loved it. It was the DDT from the ring apron to the floor, and Randy sold it. This is a notable match. I have some notes here. The wreath spot popped me with Randy hitting Otunga with the wreath and then yelling ho ho ho. The first of a ridiculous amount of candy Singapore canes throughout these Miracle on 34th Street fight matches. So
talk about it.
For those of you that are listening and watching, I do not recommend watching all of these matches in order, or it's going to be a little bit like watching the same match. You're going to say they keep reusing the same things. They do, but you have to remember there was a year between them. So there's that buffer. You will not have that buffer if you go out of your way to watch these matches. There's only so many times where you can go, oh, a bowling ball. This was a kendo stick wrapped in white and red wrapping paper to make it a candy cane. And it was the first one that we got to see. The other thing is the shot with the box on the ramp where Randy threw a box and knocked Otunga down. And then it went to Randy turning around and just laughing and swearing, but laughter. Apparently, Tyler, that had been edited. What really happened before that is Randy threw a punch and accidentally connected. And when Otunga went down, Randy turned around and was just laughing because he knew his mistake. So the edit in that spot isn't him laughing because the box hit him. It's because he punched Otunga in the face by accident. So that's, they left in the reaction, but they edited out the accidental punch, apparently. I went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
I went.
You went to Reddit. Yeah. You used your sources.
Yes, I did. Which I don't believe it referenced that in that page, but I did find it in other places. I think that might have been the only 34th Street Fight that was actually available in full on YouTube. Everything else was Peacock and WWE Network City. I loved this. It did end with an epic RKO. I thought this was a really good, fun, not too long match.
Yeah, this was a blast. I really enjoyed this. Part of me wanted, or I guess yearned, for David Otunga to get in more offense because he looked great.
Yeah,
I forgot just how much of a kind of a Vince archetype David Otunga. You know, we kind of checked so many boxes, I think, for what a massive WWE superstar looked like, especially back in 2011. So part of me was like, oh man, he can't get in like a scoop slam or a power slam or a suplex, or this is just going to be Orton beating up Otunga for 8 minutes. Okay, I just need to enjoy it. And once I kind of got out of that state of mind and remembered how Otunga was positioned, I think my enjoyment went up. Like I said, the Barrett interference was really cool and put that sort of tinge of doubt, I think, in the fans' minds of, oh, well, maybe Barrett's going to screw Orton and Otunga picks up the victory. Of course, Orton kicked out and then he ended up getting the win. So this was really fun and definitely on the upper echelon of the Miracle on 34th Street matches, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought everything was top notch. Like you said, Otunga took a beating for the bulk of this. It wasn't until the Barrett interference where Otunga really got any offense in at all. And at that point, he was already laying dead in the mat. And he got a few things in, and then Randy immediately countered it. And Randy got in a pretty fast, really nice power slam before absolutely getting airborne on that RKO. He was fully horizontal about 4 feet off the ground when he took Otunga down to the mat. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was a great one. I had fun with this.
Well, thank you for listening, or thank you for watching, depending on how you're absorbing us today. We are on night 1 of our 8 nights of Street Fights, our Miracle on 34th Street Fight matches. Instead of plugging ourselves and plugging our socials and plugging 19 Media Group, we would like you to donate to a charity this episode. I was going to say this week. I'm so used to it. Tonight, I would like you to check out Wonder and Wander. It's wonderwanderkids.org. It is a great upstart organization run by 19 Media's very own Jessica Winchester, my wife. Or donate to any charity that you think is deserving. And once again, thank you for joining us. Merry Christmas, and hopefully you'll check us out on our next episode.
Brad, we made it to the second one. I know you are eager to discuss John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio. This is from the year 2012. I'm not going to wait any longer. I'm going to kick it to you. I think you really love this match.
I did. I did for a lot of reasons. Not all of them good reasons. But I love that this is one of the only matches that we're actually going to look at that starts the show and ends the show. It really bookends the show, and it's a running thing throughout. The other ones, man, the Mark Henry one that we have coming up and Sandow one that we have coming up is marketed like it's the main event, but it's in the middle of the show, where this one is the main event. We have the very beginning of the show, Santa comes out and Del Rio accidentally hits him with his car. Tyler, they took Santa away on a stretcher. The EMTs were there. And then right before the match starts, it cuts to the back into a medical staff training room where they're working on Santa. And the words, Santa's been taken for a turn for the worse. And we're not sure if he's going to make it. And you hear a heartbeat in the background, and the commentary is sounding super grim. Christmas, we're not sure what's going to happen. Santa's probably going to die is basically the message that the WWE universe was putting out to the children watching. My God, they laid this on thick. And what happens? This. Poop, 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 poop. And then I see the Santa's little boots moving around, clicking to the sound of jingle bells, which is what his heart was making. This was so dumb. I loved it. Santa was literally dying. I was cackling, going, "Jesus Christ, little kids are watching this thing right now." And Santa's in the back.
era, yes.
PG era.
2012.
Santa is literally dying because a wrestler hit him with a car in front of the live television audience. This is crazy. And then when they start getting into it at the end, Cena stops Del Rio, and you can hear him very clearly say, "This one's for Santa." Unbelievable. There was a Cena counter to Del Rio, and Del Rio got on the mic to say it's an accident. It was an accident. I didn't do it on purpose. And he kept hitting Cena with the microphone. Cena countered it and grabbed the mic, and it was like a test of strength where Cena pushed him up with the microphone and just went, "Santa!" and then hit him. It was so bad. It's all so stupid and over the top and glorious, and I love it. There was remind me of Del Rio's assistant. What's his name again?
Oh, Ricardo.
Of course it was.
I think it was Ricardo Rodriguez, right?
Of course it was Ricardo. Great pie spot for Ricardo. These gifts are pointless things were great in this match. Ricardo trying to help, giving Del Rio a present. The present's totally worthless. Those spots were really fun. There was the pie, and then there was the commentary saying John is fighting for Christmas. And then there's another spot up at the top of the ramp. Del Rio gets a box, and it's a teddy bear to use as a weapon. Michael Cole on commentary losing his mind laughing, probably because of Del Rio's facials, which were perfect in this moment. Just absolutely great. And then, of course, a bowling ball shows up. This is the first of many bowling balls, but of course we're getting a dick shot. Bowling balls down the ramp. And then Santa comes back out toward the end of the match with a very, very familiar walk. And then he takes out Ricardo with a sack. And then what does he get? He puts on a stocking, mandible claw. Cena gets what was it originally called? The FU. And then it's the attitude adjustment. Yep.
Sorry.
So I think it was attitude adjustment at this point, but
yes.
In any case, 1, 2, 3, Santa and Cena win. The whole thing is preposterous. I have a lot of laughing emojis in my notes for this, Tyler. What did you think about all of this?
That was so thorough, man. I appreciate you for many reasons, but your thoroughness is definitely at the top. I'll be brief. Great sell of the fire extinguisher.
That's
I think
right.
I put this giving praise to Del Rio. And, Brad, you and I should say, we're talking before we clicked record on this about just how big of a presence Alberto Del Rio had in WWE, especially in the year 2012. Now, granted, if we're looking at it through 2022 lens, we know that his star has fallen off quite a bit, mostly due to his own transgressions outside of the ring. But back then, this match has become such a gimmick match over the years, but you really had arguably the two biggest names in the company, especially on the men's side, having this epic moment. So I think there's something to be said for having two of your biggest names in this really silly match. But I agree with you. The performances were so over the top. I think about the kids that were watching, and if we were to have one of them on, what would their experience? What was their experience like?
Santa died in front of them.
This could be extremely traumatic. I'm so happy you gave Ricardo a shout out. He definitely deserves it. He had a really great run in the company. And then finally, like you said, the Santa interference. I love when, I think this was Michael Cole, who said Ricardo just got sacked.
Yeah.
When Mick Foley, aka Santa Claus, hit him with the sack of presents, presumably. Man, this was fun. I'm so glad you had the experience you did watching this. Like you said, there's something to be, I think, applauded when it was woven throughout the show. That's pretty cool, and it was just very campy entertainment. And I really hope all the kids that were watching are okay after this. This was so ridiculous and over the top, but I think it worked.
Yeah, I agree. And it was the second straight year of jolly old Saint Mick being involved in a different capacity. They advertised him directly in 2011. I don't think he was commissioner. He was doing something else, but he he was there, and he's the one that put it together, and he set up that match. And then in 2012, he just was Santa, which I think is pretty cool.
Great call. Former TNA superstar Mick Foley. He just seems like a great dude. I love his beliefs and leanings, and this is just a very pro Mick Foley podcast here.
And his
Infringement.
And his fanaticism with Christmas, which is really cool. Yeah. He legitimately is a professional Santa Claus. So to have him on those shows is pretty cool as Santa, because he's very protective of his side gig, if you will. He did not want to do a lot of the spots. I did hear him on his pod talking about the Mr. Sacco Christmas stocking thing. He didn't want to use Sacco as Santa. It was his idea to use the stocking, I believe, and he really didn't want to come out as Santa at all. But he was talked into doing it, which I think is cool, because it was a great look. If it wasn't for the way he was walking, and if I didn't hear him speak or anything, I wouldn't have known it was him. There's no chance I would have known it was him outside of a wrestling context. If I saw him in a mall, I would think he was a great mall Santa. But in that space, it was pretty clearly Mick Foley. That gait is unmistakable. The side lean, it was Mankind like the whole way down.
One of a kind.
Absolutely great. So for these 8 nights of street fights, these Miracle on 34th Street Fight breakdowns, at the end of them, we're asking you to go donate to a charity. Tonight, we're asking you to go donate to the Southern Arizona Food Bank. You can find them online in various different methods. If you have a food bank near you, please donate to them. We would just like you to go out of your way and help others this holiday season, rather than shilling for 19 Media or having you go buy our own merch or go to our socials. Please go to a charities, find them, find out how you can help, find out how you can volunteer, get involved, and help out this holiday season. As always, thank you for spending your time with us. Merry Christmas, and we hope you'll join us on night 3.
Brad, we've made it to number 3. Mark Henry versus Damien Sandow. This was from 2013, and you and I had a very colorful experience watching this. So I'm going to kick us off on this one. I'm going to defer to my notes. I think this is on the bottom tier of my power rankings for the series, and I'll tell you why. So Mark Henry seems wonderful, right? Seems like a fantastic man. Him being a babyface never really hit with me in WWE. I thought he was so far superior when he was working heel. The Hall of Pain gimmick, the salmon suit that you and I reference at least once or twice a year. Somehow, that was peak Mark Henry. So first, him being a babyface is I'm a little, kind of not uncomfortable with it, but it's not how I like my Mark Henry. However, I like how during his entrance as Santa, and these two guys were pitted as good Santa versus bad Santa. That was the build for this match. We want to root for Mark Henry. Awesome. Whereas Damien Sandow comes out with Cole and is clearly just healing it up. Brad, I have to give this match credit. I popped during Mark Henry's entrance when the camera panned to 4 dudes in the audience that had Go Santa signs.
Yeah.
They kind of spread it out evenly, where one had G.O., the other had O.D., so on and so forth. So that popped me. There was a fire extinguisher. This kind of goes to what you were saying during our previous...
That was funny.
This goes back to our previous 2 episodes when you mentioned the recurring weapons being used throughout the years. I noted that we saw in this match a fire extinguisher, a candy cane, of course, Singapore cane wrapped as a candy cane. We saw a toilet, though, as well. And I know these matches aren't necessarily marketed to 2 grown men, such as you and I. I know it's very kid-friendly, or it's supposed to be. Mark Henry taking Damien Sandow's head and putting it in the toilet. Just a random new toilet, no water, obviously, no Swirly Jones.
The new clean dry toilet.
The new clean dry toilet, and of course Damien Sandow selling that as if he was being waterboarded. It just didn't hit for me. I really, this match was an example of a feeling I have every now and then when watching wrestling, especially something pretty silly like this. And I just think to myself, oh, this is why some of my friends think this is so stupid. Like, this is why some of my friends just either scoff at my love for wrestling or just don't really play along when I talk about how much I love it. They're like, okay, good for you, dude, but I'm gonna, I'm done listening to you talk about wrestling. So I had conflicting feelings about this match, as you can tell. It wasn't an enjoyable experience for me. I definitely checked my phone a few times during it, I will confess. But alas, it happened. Mark Henry picked up the W. He pretty much thoroughly dominated Damian Sandow. So Good Santa won, and I guess all of us should be happy about that. What were your opinions on this match?
I thought this was terrible. I thought that the marketing for it was the best part of the match. It was great video package to start Raw. It was great. It was Good Santa, Bad Santa, Sandow sitting there reading "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," and Mark Henry was reading like this, smiling and happy. And Sandow was wearing the coal-stained Santa suit. He came out with a lump of coal in his hand and held it up to the audience to great boos. Where Mark Henry, I popped for Henry in the crowd, just sort of like he doing the lean back and point at somebody and going, "Yeah, I see you." I don't know why that made me laugh, but he was just doing like the wrestling guy thing where you're just pointing at somebody. It's like, but you're dressed like Santa. I don't know what that means. This was definitely strange. Michael Cole was bored. He destroyed the magic of it. It was like, well, if Good Santa loses, like, Mark Henry's in the back too, and they're the same person. They're the same person. Just kept saying stuff like that over and over and over again. I don't know if he was just leaning too hard into it or if he just genuinely was like, this is ass. Nobody should see this. The Candy Kendo, again, is what I wrote in my notes. I also quoted a historic epic battle where Christmas could be canceled if Good Santa loses, is what came out of commentary's mouth. And then I wrote, good Lord, this sucks. More fire extinguisher, merciful end with the world's strongest slam, except I wrote, oh no, there's more. There was a package with jingle bells in them, and I thought they were going to be used as a weapon, but Mark just jingled them and then moved to another box which had cookies and stuff. He took a bite of a cookie, threw the cookies off of it, and then hit Sandow with the tray. And then it went to commercial break. This was not the main event. This was advertised like it was the biggest thing on the show. It was like the fifth match or fourth match. I think it ended the first hour. It was really weird where it was placed. This was not for me. I'm sure the kids probably found some good in this. I didn't find any.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did pop at the end when Michael Cole called the world's strongest slam the sleigh ride. I think my bar for entertainment was just so low that I was looking for anything to grab onto to put positive for this match, because you and I think are both fans, certainly of Mark Henry's work, and I really loved a lot of Damian Sandow / Mizdow's run in WWE. So yeah, I really enjoyed that last part. Like you said, the throwing the cupcakes in Damian Sandow's face just didn't do it for me. Again, I'm sure for the kids that were in the audience or at home, this was funny, but it didn't do it for me. But I will tell you, man, as someone who grew up in a household where my mother prominently had Black Santa figurines all around, I can appreciate Mark Henry being booked as the Good Santa and going over in this match. So I really, even though it's at the bottom tier of my rankings here, Brad, I definitely am not going to put it last, because I did enjoy Henry being able to be cheered and to pick up a really dominant win. But yeah, this was an experience, man. I just had a lot of feelings watching it, and I wasn't too upset when it finally came to a conclusion.
You made a good point. I thought of that too when Mark Henry he entered dressed as Santa, very clearly a black Santa with a big black beard coming out over the white beard, which is a little bit. I couldn't tell if it was the white beard or just the hair was really long that he was wearing the wig, which was great. I loved all of that. But they did a close up shot on a young black boy near the barricade that saw him, and you could just see the look of excitement and joy on his face when he saw Mark Henry. So there's definitely something to that I think it's sometimes it's like you said, it's hard as grown men to watch these things and go, well, not all of this should be for me or is for me. Some of it's just for the kids. This one was definitely for the kids. not my kids, but definitely not for us, especially in 2022. Watching all the things we've watched, this was pretty rough.
Well said.
So this is night 3. Night 3, we are asking every night for you to go out and donate to a charity. And night 3, we are asking you to go to Arizona Small Dog Rescue. That is azsmalldog.org. Please check them out. Donate it if you can. They are a worthy cause. If you have another cause you'd like to donate to, please feel free to do that. We are asking everybody to go give, volunteer, give time, give money, give resources, whatever you can do to help those in your community during this holiday season. Thanks for listening. Merry Christmas, and hopefully you'll join us next time.
Streetfight. Brad, we are turning back the clock to 2014. This is our 4th installment. We are looking at the match that pitted Bray Wyatt against Dean Ambrose. Yes, I said that right. Bray Wyatt against Dean Ambrose. 2 of the biggest stars in wrestling in 2014. And I would argue 2 of the biggest stars 8 years later, all the way now in 2022. Brad, I'm going to run through my notes on this match, and then I want to hear what you think. Bray Wyatt ended up winning. That surprised me. This may have been during my off period of wrestling. This would have been when I was in college, near the end of my time at University of Arizona. So maybe I was busy doing other things, but I had no clue of this. I was shocked. I was stunned. I was shook that the heel ended up winning. But some notes I have. Ambrose opening a gift with a chair that was inside with a bow on it really got me. I enjoyed that, and I think the crowd did too. This match, to me, how I put it in my notes was that it was a match that featured weapons rather than just a weapons match. I say that because some of the Miracle on 34th bouts we're looking at were just so heavily based around the weapons, the extinguishers, the candy canes.
Great point.
Right, like that was the money, is just seeing someone get hit over the head with a reef or a box. Whereas this match, particularly near the second half, really felt like a wrestling match. And then the weapons were just merely accessories. I'm going to pause there. It sounds like you had that same takeaway. It felt more like a wrestling match than just Gimmick City. Yeah,
but it also felt like not really what we saw on the other ones, because they also went to a lot of gimmicks that had nothing to do with Christmas. The table spot, all of the chairs. They put a bow on one of the chairs to count it like a Christmas present, I think. But otherwise, there wasn't a lot. There was the shove through all of the boxes that were lined up as an obvious wall that somebody was going to get shoved through. That I didn't love that, because it's like, why are they stacked like that? They're just, we know what you're doing. Let's make it a little less obvious, but. I did like a lot of the stuff that was in this match, but you're right. It was definitely a wrestling match that featured weapons more than it was a gimmick weapon. It was not a Minnesota ice fight or whatever that thing was called.
Minneapolis street fight, full gear.
Gross.
I say that, and I appreciate your thoughts and you acknowledging me. I say all this though, if I look back here at what I put, and Bray Wyatt didn't win from Sister Abigail. He won after driving Ambrose into the turnbuckle, which had a candy cane, Singapore cane, just hanging out there, just wedge. Yeah. So Ambrose takes it to the dome, and then falls to the mat. Bray Wyatt pins him 1, 2, 3. That was unique. I did not expect that. I don't loathe it. It was different. However, what I did not love was this finish, the post-match angle in which Bray wins, but then Dean Ambrose attacks him, sets him up on the table, and then, to your point, Brad, puts him through a table, right? Dean Ambrose jumps off the turnbuckle. I think it was kind of like an elbow drop.
Yeah.
To me, that felt a lot. I guess this is an AEW-centric episode. This post-match angle felt a lot to me like Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston.
100%.
And that Shark Week. Was that a barbed wire everywhere? Is that what they did?
That's when he tore up his legs on the barbed wire.
Yeah, where Jericho, in very controversial fashion, ended up winning that match.
Painmaker Jericho, right?
Yes. Yeah. But then Kingston got his receipt after.
Yeah.
Felt a lot like that. If you're going to have the heel win, I would just want them to win. I also think, my final note, this was in 2014. So I think for a lot of Bray Wyatt fans, this was where his character was shifting to a place where he just became more of a gimmick and less of maybe our generation's version of The Undertaker, where he's spooky and he's winning. And, I think 2014, 2015, he was starting to shift. And unfortunately, due to booking and character inconsistencies, perhaps the fan base wasn't taking him as seriously as we should have. I never want Bray Wyatt to go through a table. Like, this dude eats worlds. I don't need to see him go through a table after winning a match, ever. So that was a little disappointing, but it's just wild to me that we got this match and then you fast forward 8 years later and these two dudes are talked about as much as anyone, especially on our weekly episodes.
Yeah, and you know who else is talked about a lot still these days, despite not wrestling for a long time? The host of this episode, Ho Ho Hogan. Oof. Bray Wyatt came out to a promo, a good one. A very good one. He started singing Christmas music very creepily. And then the what chants started. The dreaded what chants. Some of the worst what chants. By the end of it, they weren't doing it anymore. Either they petered out or Bray is just that good. I thought the match was really good. I was waiting to see what would push somebody through the boxes. It ended up being a Ambrose tope. That was a good one too. Tossing through the chairs with the bows, and then there's a table, more chairs. The kendo cane came back out, and then a ladder. The turnbuckle kendo stick I thought was really good. The danger that one had in it. That's what I kept thinking. It's like, I'm glad it finished the match because it didn't look great on TV the way that ended up. Because the kendo stick kind of flung forward. If it was really wedged in there, it would have looked great. If it was really wedged in there, Jon Moxley would be dead, or at least without an eye. So
I was gonna say, yeah.
We already had Rey Mysterio lose an eye. We don't need anybody else around that time. Actually, a lot of eyeball stuff. Then, there was one of the longest headlock rest holds I have ever seen on a Raw. It was like 4 minutes long. This match was about 8 minutes longer than it needed to be. Yeah, this was a long match. But to your point, I thought the creative finish was good. I dug it. It was surprising. I hated that it kept going afterward. And they've done this a couple of times. I know there's one coming up in when we talk about 2018s that was really gross to me. But the fire extinguisher came out. And then Bray ends up getting taken through a table, and that's the end. We send the people home happy because the babyface lost, but the babyface won the war, lost the battle, so to speak. And then they could play Dean Ambrose's music as a way out. Which, you know what, on paper this looked like and it was a really good match. No question, this was a good one for TV. This is a good one, but seeing Bray Wyatt versus Dean Ambrose just sort of sitting there as a Christmas street fight was pretty great. I think this might be the match that Jon Moxley talked about on an interview where he asked to do a whole bunch of stuff and it was all denied. So they did what they could with chairs and stuff. Cause I think he wanted to break ornaments and stuff and do a whole bunch of other crazy stuff, but they just wouldn't let him do it. Because he's the one that wanted to take all the bumps, but whatever. This is fun for what it was. We know what the era was in 2014. Fun match.
Yeah, and I took note of just the talent that was around and how the card was structured. And if we look at even the year prior, Brad, when you and I had our third installment here, where it was Mark Henry versus Damian Sandow, the main event of that show in 2013 was a 6-man tag: CM Punk, John Cena, and Intercontinental Champion Big E against Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Crazy.
Oh my gosh, my brain nearly broke when I saw that. If we were to even get that in 2022, that would be one of the biggest matches of the entire year. It's amazing to me, knock on wood, how so many of the talent back then are still healthy and able to work now in 2022. Again, just the names I listed, Brad: CM Punk, John Cena, Big E, obviously wishing Big E a speedy recovery. But then Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, now John Moxley, Seth Rollins. These dudes are still titans in wrestling and are still mostly in the ring. The babyface side is a little cold right now. We don't know if we're going to see CM Punk again. John Cena is back in WWE, at least for a short period. And obviously Big E is Big E. But man, what a time in WWE. And I'm just so glad that we can still see Dean Ambrose, now John Moxley, and Bray Wyatt do their thing because they're phenomenal performers.
Absolutely. Well, that was night 4. That was Bray versus Dean, which is weird to say. It's weird saying Dean Ambrose and not John Moxley. Weird, right? Very, very strange. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for listening. Like the other nights, we're asking you to donate to a charity. Today, we're asking you to donate to the United Negro College Fund. You can go to uncf.org and you can find the donate links there, or you can donate to any charity that you feel like is deserving of your time, your money, your resources. Please check that out, help people out, and give during this holiday season. Thank you for joining us again. Merry Christmas, and we hope you join us for tomorrow's 8 nights of street fights. Miracle on 34th Street Fight.
All the above.
It's so complicated, but we appreciate you joining us anyway.
Brad, this one was fun. We are going to 2017's 6-man tag. Akira Tozawa, Cedric Alexander, and Mustafa Ali teamed to face I can't believe this was a team, the Zoe Trade. Did not know they were called this until I watched it. I definitely didn't watch this match live. So upon replay, I can confirm the Zoe Trade. This team is comprised of Enzo Amore, who was then Cruiserweight Champion. And we had Arya Daivari and Drew Gulak, right? Those were the 3 heels in this? Yeah. So what a time. This was back when 205 Live was prominently featured on Monday Night Raw, if you can believe it or not. Enzo Amore becoming Cruiserweight Champion was a very controversial decision amongst the fan base and reportedly in the locker room as well. I believe this is cited for one of the reasons why Pac, then Adrian Neville, or just shortened to Neville, left the company as he dropped the belt, I believe, to Enzo, and then kind of felt like, oh, this is totally a joke and I'm out of here. But regardless, man, my first note on this, and I think you agree, I'm going to toss it to you quickly, actually. Both of us reacted to Enzo being so over. To Enzo's credit, he was getting cheered arguably more than anyone, not only in the division, but more than most wrestlers on the entire roster. Dude was over. The crowd chanted with him and did all of his shtick, even when he was healing it up. So first and foremost, Brad, Enzo Amore, Cruiserweight Champion. What say you?
Weird choice for Cruiserweight Champion. He came out dressed like Santa Claus. The other 2, Gulak and Daivari, came out dressed as elves. The Enzo stuff was incredible. He came out doing the little backward dance, doing the hopping stuff, doing all the hype train stuff that he used to do with Big Cass, and I loved that. He did the same shtick. He just basically said, he's 7 feet tall and you can't teach that. They just left that part out. This was awesome. Like they road dog Jesse James themselves into this position. Think about what the New Age Outlaws used to do. They used to come out to the thing. Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody. And they would do that whole shtick, and everybody would say it along, and it got hugely over just through repetition.
Yeah, the Acclaimed,
right?
So, the Acclaimed are our generation's New Age Outlaws.
Yes, only theirs isn't repeatable every time. It's just you hear that sounder at the beginning. It's a Pavlovian response, and everybody's like ready for, okay, here, let's hear what it has to say.
The pop every week is just, no matter which city they go to.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Enzo was very much like that. His music starts, the flag comes up, the music plays, the crowd goes absolutely bonkers. Why? Because they get to participate. This is gaslight theater stuff right now. I know you're a heel. I know you're a babyface. I know when I'm supposed to cheer, when I'm supposed to boo. We don't care right now. We'll boo you when you wrestle, but we're going to cheer you when you do your opening thing because it's fun to do it along with you. And I loved it. I thought it was really great. I wrote, "My God, Enzo is over," and screenshot it and sent it to you because you said something very, very similar to me. I don't remember exactly what it is.
Yeah, it was the same. Same thing.
Yeah. And then I don't remember what Michael Cole said, but I remember that I started cracking up. It popped me. I just don't remember what it was. I have some weird notes for this one.
You know, I don't have a lot of notes around commentary. I do have notes, though, about how amazing some of the talent in this match are. Yes. Mustafa Ali, this is near the end, I believe. He had that move where he kind of jumps in the ring through the ropes and hit an X Factor. Mm-hmm. Shout out to X-Pac, one of my favorite wrestlers during my childhood. And then not too long after that, he hit his really incredible, I think it's an inverted 450. That he used to do all the time.
That's the one that was wrecking his knees. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I could totally understand why. That he makes it look so effortless, but Brad, it's like video game type stuff.
Yes.
It's already impressive enough to see a 450, but to do it inverted seems incredibly more complex, does it not?
Yeah, you think?
It's like
I couldn't do
it. He just does it effortlessly. Okay,
I couldn't do it at all. Regular, like. With a trampoline onto crash pads.
I could do it.
I would die. I would land on my face and break my neck. Like, it's absolutely insane. The talent in this match was unbelievable. I just wrote, "Oh my God, the 205 crew." But then Tyler, tragedy struck. They went to commercial break. Tyler, when before we went to commercial break, the 205 crew was absolutely beating the piss out of Enzo and the gang. And then we came back. There was a crushed box. 2 crushed presents in the ring, and a Christmas tree. No explanation as to how they got there. No explanation as to how they were used. And then I don't remember what move it was, but it was, let's see. They said, we're going to go and show you what happened during the break to get to where they were. And it was just the move right before they went to break. It was the 205 guys diving off of crap and hitting people, just massive humanity. I think it was a Cedric spot, and then it went to break, and it came back, and they went, "We're going to show you what happened during break," and they showed the Cedric spot again, and went right back to it, and it was like, I don't even know what's going on here. And then eventually we get Cedric again with the Singapore candy cane and an amazing lumbar check. That lumbar check had air under it. That one felt personal.
Yeah.
I don't know what you thought about it.
He hit it on Gulak, right? Or was it Davari?
I thought it was Enzo at the end. I thought he pinned Enzo. I thought he pinned the cruiserweight because they had the match set up, right?
They had the match set up for the following week. I thought it was one of Enzo's partners. Regardless, though, I remember, the air and the cell from whichever heel took it. We've seen so many of these. It was great to remember a time when Cedric is still with the company, obviously, dude is so talented, and we saw him live in Tucson over the summer at the house show. But it was nice to remember a time when he was he had this big singles push, and he was one of the faces of 205 Live, and this match was really built around the feud between him and Enzo and the upcoming the title match they were going to have the following week. So I miss 205 Live, and it's tough because I feel like a hypocrite because I would be lying if I said I watched a weekly 205 product, even when they were firing on all cylinders. And I was hearing from various places on the internet that this is can't miss TV. Spend an hour watching this. You got Buddy Murphy, you got Cedric Alexander, you got Mustafa Ali, name the talent. And I wasn't faithfully watching, but I think to your point, Brad, there was so much potential in 205, and unfortunately, it just sort of slowly but surely became non-essential. But yeah, great to see Seth pick up the win. Lumbar check is still an amazing finisher. Yes. And there were just some really cool spots in this match that I thoroughly enjoyed. You
were dead on. I checked. It was Davari that ate the pin.
Davari, okay.
Yeah, I think it was Enzo like reaching in trying to stop it or whatever. It was
that makes sense.
And then being upset that he lost. And maybe it was commentary saying this was a crushing blow for Enzo going into that match.
For the Zoe train.
Yes. Yes. With Cedric getting all the momentum going into their match. Yeah.
Cedric's theme is a bop, by the way. I had to interrupt you.
Incredible. Yes.
I put this in my notes. I forgot that his theme was an absolute can't miss banger. That's all I got. I love that theme. The song was so good. I forgot. It got me. I was ready to run through a brick wall.
The last time I think I heard it was it Tucson? I believe is the last time I heard it when he came out for a squash.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's converted and now has some WWE 2K Create a Superstar song. I'm almost positive. I'm 98% sure we did not hear that in Tucson. I think I would have been tempted to, like, I don't know, just do jumping jacks or run around the Tucson arena because I really, really love that theme.
To your point, I think 205 got to shine here. I know they advertised it on Raw, and to somebody's point, I forget who it was. It was one of the first times we saw it splash across the screen advertising a major event because they were doing a 205 event, I believe, and that was going to be the first one. And we had all this talent that came out of 205 that's currently working elsewhere. 2.0 came out of 205. I didn't watch a single match they did, but I sure saw their promo show up on my timeline. And I watched the heck out of those. And when I saw them show up in WWE, or in AEW, I went, those are those guys that do all those great promos that I see on Twitter, because I didn't see any of it. So like you, I know that they were doing great things, but I wasn't going to watch it. It was too out of my way. It's kind of like I'll catch AEW Dark on occasion, but only if I don't have anything else to watch, even though I want to watch it, or I'll see something that forces me to watch it. Like the dad wrestler, the shoop, up to the chin thing. I don't even remember his name, but that was great. So this was a really great match. I thought this was awesome. It was a ton of fun. We got to see all of these great talent show out, and I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So that brings us to the close for our night 5 of our 8 nights of street fights and our Miracle on 34th Street Fight matches, our analysis, our breakdown, the fun we're having with these things. Getting to watch 205, guys, not in 205, getting to showcase was a blast. We're asking you to go out of your way, though, to donate to a charity. That can be your time. That can be your money. Today, we're asking you to donate to Ben's Bells. Ben's Bells is something that's been part of Tyler, you and I, our professional lives for a while now, as well as in our community. You can go to them at bensbells.org and find the donate links there, or you can donate to any other charity you wish to donate to during this holiday season. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching, for listening, for sharing. Merry Christmas. We hope to catch you on the next night of these street fights.
Brad, my man, we've made it to 2018. This is very recent. We probably maybe even remember this match. I know we're going to get into our thoughts here. We saw Elias versus Bobby Lashley with Lio Rush by his side. What did you think of this match?
I'm going to read you the first line I wrote down in my notes. This is fine, I guess. That was
okay. Well, thank you all for tuning in. This was a great addition. We will see you for.
It got better. So this is, you got to remember, I wasn't watching in 2018. I wasn't watching in 2019. Sure. So this is recent. I don't remember it. What I know is Bobby Lashley now. What I was reintroduced, because I knew Bobby Lashley when he debuted, was Bobby Lashley with the headband dating Lana. Getting married to Lana until that thing just blew up and stopped. Yeah, and then we got Hurt Business Bobby, which was amazing. This was not that. This was Bobby with Leo and Elias, who I had no context for. When I was introduced to Elias, he was a heel. So I've only ever known him as a heel. He apparently is a babyface in 2018, fighting a heel Bobby Lashley, but I don't really know why he's a heel. He just has a headband. And they refer to him as the Almighty, but he's not the Almighty. He's like the Alrighty, I guess. But this gave us some firsts in these holiday street fights. The first with Lego, being involved. We had a box with actual toys in it. A bunch of assorted Legos came out on to the mat, and I grimaced when I looked at it. Eventually, we know that Bobby's ass is going to take the brunt of the blow onto the pile of Legos.
Yeah, what did Cole say? I wonder if I put this in my notes. He said
a perforated glute or something.
Thank you. That's exactly right.
Punctured a glute. It's something like that. I remember you saying, yeah, I was great, but he absolutely went ass first onto that pile. I thought he was going to take it on the back. He did not take it on the back.
And we had Renee Young on commentary.
Yes.
Which I know there were some, I don't know if detractors are the right word. I mean, she even admits now on her podcast and in interviews that, that was a first for her and she was learning, and, you know, she wasn't perfect. No one is. But it was nice to hear a woman's voice on commentary.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, that was the era where they put Renee Young, or not they put, but, she sort of earned her stripes and had that spot. That was different.
And immediately got shut down for her comment, which was really funny. You caught it, right?
Yes.
Renee saying that should be illegal for the Lego. It's like, nothing's illegal in a street fight.
It's a street fight.
It's a street fight. Yeah, she's like, oh, well, you got a good point. It's like, all right, well, I guess.
I enjoy her. I do.
I thought it was great because she recovered really well in it, being that fresh into it. I laughed pretty hard. I thought it was great. We got more extinguisher though. The extinguisher is just a constant in these things. I don't hate it. It hasn't been used as well since the Mark Henry thing, where Sandow, I think that was the match where Sandow couldn't figure out how to do it. So Henry, I don't know if that was an audible or not, because it felt kind of like Sandow was supposed to spray him and just it didn't work out.
That was very noticeable, right? And then Henry took it over.
Henry just kind of carefully took it, pulled the pin out, and just hit him in the leg and sprayed him in the fist.
Great call. I observed that too.
Yeah, so I don't know, but this one obviously that didn't happen. I have a feeling that was a conversation that was had for every match after that. Leo went through a table. The wrestlers in the match didn't. Elias was in control for a lot. There was another bowling ball dick shot, and then there was a cello shot, which I thought was a fun play on words. I don't know if that was intentional. Taking a cello shot, and that was the finish. Kind of, Tyler. It was kind of the finish. It was the finish, but it wasn't finished, if that makes sense, because there were still cookies at that table for Leo to have stuffed into his mouth before having eggnog poured on him, which I thought was by far the worst part of the match. That was disgusting. I can't imagine eggnog being poured intentionally all over my face.
Yeah, I didn't love that. This also, in particular, that was a moment where I thought, okay, maybe this is appealing to the kids because we know Leo is very brash and was clearly a heel manager back then. But good point about the bowling ball. That was a pretty good shot to the family jewels. The cello,
that came in snug.
that really did. I was like, how did they work that? Yeah, Bobby Lashley was wearing some sort of, I don't know, cup, or
I'm sure you've been hitting the cup before
with some velocity.
If you've been hitting the cup before, you know damn well it doesn't do that much.
Yeah,
like it keeps you going to the hospital, but it's not going to make you have a good day.
Like, was the bowling ball rigged in some way?
It had to have been like a 6-pounder, right? Like there's no way that was a 20-pounder.
No. But yeah, I definitely took note of the ball and the cello that was used, and I think that's been a staple for a lot of Elias's matches.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we've seen him with that before.
Yeah.
This was also interesting because, I have two notes here. You mentioned Bobby Lashley's headband earlier. I'm so grateful you did, because I noted that after he gave Elias a German suplex, Bobby Lashley's headband fell off. And then what do you know? He took the headband off the mat and put it back on himself, and then continued the match and continued beating up Elias. So Lashley's commitment to the headband back in 2018 was so real. Post-match, Brad, even post-eggnog to Leo, I found it interesting running this back on Peacock that this match, this edition of Raw, was 1 week, if I wrote this down correctly, it was 1 week before Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, and Triple H gave the infamous in-ring promo, "We are taking back Monday Night Raw. We are taking back SmackDown Live. We are going to make this about you all, the fans." and what we've done before. It was basically kind of blaming it on Baron Corbin in storyline and saying, we are going to be here for you fans.
Right.
We are turning this back. This is us. Of course, they're cheered. They're massive baby faces, even though they've been heavily scrutinized for how the product was. I found it interesting that this was right in that time frame of, oh yeah, this is when they gave that really memorable promo. And a lot of the fan base, in my opinion, thought those words ended up being pretty hollow, because not too long after that, we had Triple H in the main event of WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, and just sort of the classic tropes that I think were really plaguing the company, because this was not an awesome time, I would argue, in the company's creative history. So the timing of this match and of WWE in 2018, 2019 also just really fascinates me, because I think their product was pretty hit or miss, and largely misses. This is kind of what spurred AEW and the hunger for an alternative.
Yeah, and I will say this. I thought the match itself was pretty good. I thought the wrestling was really good.
Yeah.
It was just, it was gross at the end.
Yeah.
I didn't like at all the commentary kept referring to making young boy, not a man jokes about Leo Rush. It really bothered me for some reason.
It's so stupid. Just because he's smaller. Yeah.
I don't get it, man. Like it really bothers me looking at it, knowing what he became and what he can do and what he's capable of. Having him be a manager for Bobby Lashley, to have cookies shoved in his mouth and then eggnog poured on him and treated like this blow off little boy, like that really bothered me.
Yeah, he's an amazing in-ring worker, and there was, like you said, he was definitely pigeonholed. I mean, I think what probably hurt him is that he is such a talented speaker. He is so charismatic on the mic that once you get that picture in your mind of, okay, he's a smaller guy, but he's charismatic and can talk, we need him to be a manager, period. He definitely got boxed into a position that I don't think was fully befitting of his talents.
No, and this was still that era too, where they didn't really know what to do with Bobby, and I don't know that Bobby knew what to do with Bobby. I still see him fitting best as the kind of the leader of the Hurt Business. I would like that to be run back again, and just
please,
they could retcon that so easily. I know they've tried to do it a couple of times now.
Shelton Benjamin can still go, right? There's some momentum about getting him in a prominent spot. Please, we need it.
But even if he decides to retire, because he's been wrestling forever, he'd be fine in there as just muscle, right? Like
absolutely.
There's plenty of talent on the roster that right now doesn't have maybe a role, or could use that push if you need to turn heel or turn face, depends on how that roster is. Maybe you put Omos in there, maybe MVP Omos, and then everybody else gets back to. I don't know how you do it. I just know that Bobby Lashley, Hurt Business Bobby, was the best version of Bobby. Coming out in the suit, just all of it was so good.
100%. And final note for me, I am very, very intrigued with where Elias's character goes. This was 4 years ago as we're recording, right? 2018. I'm curious to see what the next 4 years look like, not only for Bobby Lashley. The man is ageless, though. He looks just as amazing as he did in 2018, 2008. Yeah. I mean, he's a specimen. But for Elias, he was so over, especially as a babyface. The whole gimmick, the walk with Elias, we saw that before the match. The crowd is playing along with him. I'm really interested to see if he can gain that level of popularity back at some point, or if we've sort of seen him reach his zenith in the company. I hope that's not the case, but man, this dude was so over. I even have a Funko Pop figure of the guy. I was walking with Elias just like everyone in the audience was. It was great stuff. I hope good things for him. I wish he can reach those heights again at some point in the future.
Seems like he's on his way there. It seems like he's pretty popular right now with his resurgence since the injury or the near death of his brother Ezekiel. It's good to have him back, and I wish the best for Ezekiel on his road to recovery. So that brings us to a close for night 6 of our 8 nights of street fights for our Miracle on 34th Street Fight breakdown. Tyler, this has been a struggle for me through all of these. Embrace the mess. We are absolutely going to ask you to embrace a charity, though. Tonight, we're asking you to embrace the Southern Arizona AIDS Foundation. You can go to saaf.org, check them out, see what they stand for, see what they do to help the community. Donate there. If you don't want to donate there, but you have another charity in mind, please donate there. We're asking you to give your time, your money, your resources. We're just asking you to give during this holiday season. You can find us in the usual places if you'd like, but we'd rather find you there donating and giving. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking us out on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you for night 7.
Brad, we are all the way in 2019 now. This is a match that has 4 dudes we are very familiar with. This happened on an episode of SmackDown. We saw Heavy Machinery take on the tag team of Scott Dawson and Cash Wilder. I had to say those names aloud because I just, who are these guys? It's like I don't even remember these names. The Revival, though, right now known as FTR. They were the Revival back then. This was a match that concluded the year 2019. What did you think of these two teams? I think you and I are both big fans of for different reasons. Both made their mark in NXT and then transitioned into very prominent roles on the main roster. What did you think of this match? Did you enjoy it? Where does it rank for you?
First of all, I wrote in the notes, I wrote the name wrong. I wrote Cash Wilder and not Dash Wilder because I'm so used to saying Cash Wheeler.
Isn't it wild?
It's nuts.
Before we recorded, you and I were just going back and forth trying to think of what were their names as the people.
And we're like, good. We wrote it down. It's perfect. And it's still managed to screw it up. No. When you said it, I was like, is it Cash Wilder?
I don't know. Otis and Tucker, Heavy Machinery. I got that down. That's easy. Yeah, but totally the Revival, it was a struggle.
Yeah, I really liked this. I thought this was really good. I thought the reason they wrestled was really stupid. I thought everything that the Revival did was great. I thought Otis was great. I thought Tucker's athleticism was great. I thought Tucker was really boring. In this thing, his character anyway was, I don't really get it. Otis, I get it. I just, there's sometimes you can look at a person and then they act away and you're like, yep, that's it. Totally understood. Tucker looked like he was acting like Otis. Otis was Otis. And I feel like that's the difference. And it's the only way I can describe it. But the whole thing revolved around how Mandy Rose, who was dating Otis in storyline here, was given a ham, like a whole ass ham. And that's kind of the story. That's really it here, Tyler. I grimaced that we got another fire extinguisher, only because we were watching these in rapid succession. If you get one fire extinguisher a year, perfect. But this was
marathon. We did the marathon route, back to back to back.
Yeah, when we were talking about doing this, we're like, well, all I have to do is watch all of these. So sure, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then I started watching. It's like, oh, bowling balls and fire extinguishers and Singapore candy canes, and boy, did we sure get those things. We got another bowling ball, we got another fire extinguisher, and the return of a Lego spot. I also thought it was great. I believe it was Scott Dawson / Dax Harwood that slammed the ham down on the floor really hard to really piss off Otis. His little lower lip furled, and then he just started hossing everybody around. I thought that was great. I wrote, ham down, Otis is pissed. The candy cane kendo stick came out. Otis was like, whatever. He's still pissed about the ham. And then we got the Lego spot that Scott Dawson ate all of it, like to the bare back. It was a classic. Yes, this is a gnarly bump. I'm Dax Harwood. I'm going to take it anyway. And it was pretty great. And then it led to the compactor with Tucker and Otis, which is a great name for a finish if you're called Heavy Machinery. And it looks really, really good. I thought this was fun. Otis going through a table was nuts. The bowling ball, My God, Dash sold the crap out of the tree to the junk. There was that getting thrown into the tree, into the corner, which I would feel like is probably the most painful spot in the whole match, because those are just those curled metal wires that are all twisted with the little pine needles coming out of them on those artificial trees. That's got to hurt so bad going into that. But he sold the cock shot. And there was also a cock shot to a bowling ball. So everybody's getting hit in the junk. You know who was in charge of that. And they were selling like mad out there, and it was pretty obvious they were selling like mad and having fun, it looked like. So I thought this was a fun match. I don't really have a lot to add here. I think I've said everything that I have. I thought it was fun. I thought it was ridiculous they were fighting over a ham, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, the Otis shtick worked so well for me as it was happening, and even revisiting it, it's aged fairly well. I really enjoy the. I don't do as well of an Otis as you, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But whether watching Otis do it, watching you do it, it really, really does it for me.
It's the quick head turns though.
Yes,
it's kind of the quasi Macho Man.
The squinted eyes, and it really
the lower lip over the upper lip.
I know. This is the one really silly gimmick that still works for me. Like you said, him and Mandy Rose were just paramount to the show back then. I remember for at least a year to 2 years, the whole build was, oh man, when are they gonna kiss, or when are they gonna make this official?
Yeah.
And I remember wanting to see what would happen there. So super happy Heavy Machinery got the win. I didn't recall who ended up getting the dub as we went into this match, but I think it made total sense the babyfaces won. My second takeaway, though, aside from I hope Tucker is wrestling somewhere, because I think he has a lot of potential, and I'm sad it didn't quite work out for him in WWE.
The character was just bad.
Yeah, I thought he had some really cool moments before Heavy Machinery broke up, but alas, FTR did much more comedy work in WWE than I remembered. I think what we've seen from them in AEW, in AAA, in all these different promotions, is that they are wrestlers, right? They're all about the business. They're all about putting on bangers. And they still were back then in WWE. But between this match, for all the reasons you listed, all the spots you listed, and then do you also recall that feud they had with the Usos, where they were... they had, it wasn't like shaving cream, and the Usos caught the Revival in the shower with like shaving each other. Just this really slapstick comedy that I would argue is beneath arguably the two best tag teams in the world. I just forgot, with my FTR lens, like, oh yeah, these dudes are all about wrestling and putting on these great matches. I forgot in WWE they were being used, I would say fairly often in comedic roles that, they're professionals and they made it work, but looking at it now, it just seems kind of surreal that they were doing that. But like you said, the compactor, the Heavy Machinery gimmick, it made so much sense. I thought it was awesome while it lasted. And ultimately, Otis got his ham. The ham was okay.
Yeah, the ham was fine, right?
At the end of the match, he's holding it. He's savoring it because, like you said, Mandy Rose gave it to him. So, as we've noted a few times during our series here, the crowd went home happy.
Yeah, Dak slammed that ham down on the floor really hard, and it still came up whole. I couldn't believe it. That was the most shocking part of that entire match, was that the ham was okay, and I love that commentary was putting it over. Yeah, that made me chuckle, and it was a lot of, hey, don't touch the ham. That's not your ham. Leave your hands off the ham. And it's just
so ridiculous.
Like, to hear that while there's this match going on, while some of the best entertainers in the world are in the ring, I thought was great. Like you, I want to see Tucker do something because he's got all the skills in the world to do it. That character just didn't seem to fit. They put him there because he was a big dude, but that didn't seem like him. He seemed like, I'm big, I'm angry, I'm going to hoss dudes around, which is ultimately what he started to do as a heel, and then they just pulled the rug out from under him. I think he was, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was in that Malachi Black group of cuts around that time.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, and granted, I'm biased because he's an Arizona State Sun Devil. He wrestled for them back in the day, but like you said, Brad, I thought he had some cool moments in that. Yeah. tag team elimination chamber match. It was against Lucha House. It was Heavy Machinery, Lucha House Party, and two other teams I'm forgetting. I remember that he had some sort of senton, I think from the top of one of the chambers. Like, he really showed out in that match, and I thought, okay, when him and Otis eventually split, it's gonna be a deal. And like you said, he turned on Otis. I think Otis ended up winning, and Tucker was effectively done from there.
I think they had him do a promo backstage or something, or they interviewed him and he just didn't say anything and he walked away, or I don't even know if he spoke. I think he got mad and left, and then that was sort of it.
Yeah, and then like you said, a few months or however long later, he's in the dreaded group of superstars who are released. It's just it's one of those cases to me where it's what if for him.
Yeah, totally agree. And we're gonna ask you, what if you go out and donate to a charity? Thank you for listening once again. This was night 7, and as always, we're going to ask you to go donate to a charity. We are asking you once again to donate to wonderwanderkids.org. It's Wonder and Wander, or any charity you would like to. Please give during this holiday season. We are giving you these gifts of Streetfight analysis. We know it's what you wanted for Christmas. We saw the list you sent Santa. So please give back to your community. Check us out tomorrow. We will have our final one, Tyler. I believe it's night 8, which is crazy. That means Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. Tomorrow will be our final Christmas gift to you, and will be our regular episode for the week. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you giving back. Merry Christmas, and thanks once again.
Happy birthday, Mom. Brad, we've revisited 7 of them. We are now on our 8th and final installment. We are going to turn back the clock to December 2020, to the Thunderdome. We saw a 6-man tag. Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Keith Lee teamed up to face AJ Styles, The Miz, and John Morrison. I mean, where do we even begin with this one, Brad? So many talented dudes in this match who we love. Yes. I believe about, correct me if I'm wrong, 20% of the talent are not in the WWE anymore, which is, it's always interesting to look back at these.
33%.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. The roster shifts are always fascinating to discuss, but I want to turn it over to you. You actually have a pretty strong memory of this match as it occurred in real time back in the Thunderdome, right?
Yeah, when we were looking at the list of these matches, and we may have missed one, I don't know. But when we were looking at the list of matches, I was like, I know I saw one with Drew. I remember stuff happening with Christmas trees and that kind of stuff. So I knew it. Also, Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you for joining us and listening to us. We appreciate it. We were leading up to Christmas. Now it is Christmas.
It's the big day.
This is the big day.
And you're spending part of your day with us. Possibly. Thank you. Whenever you're spending time with us. Maybe it's Christmas Day. Maybe it's after. We appreciate you being here.
You got me with that. Possibly.
Possibly. Maybe you're listening to this in 2024. I don't know.
I'll say this. Thunderdome era is weird. I'm going to ask you a question after I say this, because my first note was, I believe right now, current day, the entrances are still happening. Good God, they took forever. Tyler, what was the point of entrances during the Thunderdome era? Why did they do them the same way? I guess is my point. Is it because it was supposed to make us feel like, oh, there's not a raging pandemic, things are normal? Even though there's TV screens with people's faces on them right next to it. Mm-hmm. I also forgot how many lasers were involved in the entrance. Absolute stunning how many lasers were there to give like a more light effects to sort of fill that space, which I thought was really cool. But my God, there were a lot of lasers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you nailed it. I think it's definitely the reason being more of a distraction away from the very scary and uncertain time we were all living in and are still living in. Looking back at the Thunderdome, and I'll even choose it as an option sometimes when I'm playing WWE 2K. It's just, I can't believe it. on one hand, I can't believe it happened, but also it feels like, looking back, it was so long ago, even though it was only now 3 years ago. It's just very surreal. Like you said, until you
Only
just
two.
mentioned this, two, right? Until
Yeah.
two. Oh my God,
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
Until you mentioned this, I didn't even consider. Oh yeah, them meaning superstars, pronouns, pal. Superstars, wrestlers having entrances is kind of like, why are we doing this when there are just screens in the Thunderdome? I think, like you said, not only was it a distraction, but just sort of WWE creating a product. You know, when we go back on this, when we go back on Peacock in 2023, in 2040, and look back at this era, I think they're probably cautious of, we want to present a professional looking product. We want it to be consistent, whether times are good or whether we have a raging pandemic happening. So, yeah, man, it just, like you said, we could go on and on about what the Thunderdome era meant and our memories of it. But yeah, this was the main event, and the baby faces ended up winning. And not only the baby faces, but Keith Lee, Limitless Keith Lee, picked up the victory. Of course, he was then bro kicked by Sheamus, as Sheamus was properly turning heel. But I'm so happy Keith Lee's team got the victory. I'm so happy he got the spot. It made me a little bit sad, Brad, because do you remember when Keith Lee ascended to the main roster, ascended to Monday nights, and it looked so promising? Yeah. I believe he beat Randy Orton in his first pay-per-view match. I want to say that was Backlash. You and I were discussing, oh wow, I guess Keith Lee is just pole vaulting to the main event. And he did, but it was pretty short-lived. And in our previous episode, we were discussing Tucker of Heavy Machinery and how he had a bit of a, I don't know if we would call it a precipitous downfall, but he ended up being released. Obviously, this was a very unfortunate time for Keith Lee. He had a health scare. He ended up being released from the company. I was just grateful that I could look back and remember a time when I was so hopeful for what him on the main roster could look like. Of course, Drew McIntyre rules. Of course, now Sheamus arguably had the best year of his career in 2022. And I thought the heels, these were the proper heels to be in this match. AJ Styles is a living legend. John Morrison and The Miz are perfect for this role. There was some comedy with Omos. Do you remember the spot when, of course you remember, I don't know why I'm asking you this. There was a spot when John Morrison fell into Omos's arms and then Omos just dropped him through the, caught him and then just dropped him through the table. And there were a lot of funny moments in this match. It was enjoyable. And like I said, I think the ending really puts it in the upper echelon of these street fights for me. But that's enough out of me, man. What are your notes on this? What did you think overall about this final installment?
I'm with you. This is one of the best ones of the bunch. For me, that Cena the Cena Del Rio match was the funniest one by far because it was so preposterous. Bray and Ambrose, if it were shorter, would probably be the best match. But man, that 205 crew was so good. I think this is probably the best match overall because it had the best storytelling. It furthered stories. It wasn't just a Wade Barrett run-in. It was Drew and Keith and Sheamus. Drew and Sheamus being longstanding friends. Keith being the new guy, accidentally bumping into Sheamus. Sheamus being pissed about it, and then going, "Hey, that was pretty good." In the middle of the match. That was pretty good. The slap on the side, and then Keith slapping him back harder, and then Sheamus doing it, and then Keith just full on giving him a Grizzly Magnum to the chest. I thought that was great. And then it cut to commercial break, and we all know that it ended with them going, "Oh, we got the win," and then Sheamus giving Keith a brogue kick. This was maybe the worst of the Keith Lee shirts that he was forced to wear. This was like the super down to the belly button V-neck thing that I don't even know how to describe that thing. It was like they gave him a unitard for dance. I have nothing else.
We didn't like it back then. We don't like it looking back on now. Even the music, going back to entrances, Keith Lee, man. Although the music wasn't the worst I've ever heard, it was not. Yeah, why are we ruining? I know there's the CFO stuff and maybe there's legality to it, but his theme in NXT was so perfect in my opinion. Why would you fix it if it ain't broke?
Yeah, absolutely strange there. It was I forgot about all the Miz and Morrison stuff. At that point in time, I thought it was pretty good. The Miz and Morrison stuff was pretty good. It wasn't until they started bringing out dripsticks that everything fell apart there. And now there's way too much conversation about the Miz's balls for me. That Sheamus table bump. Boy, oh boy, that was.
I noted it.
Woo, boy.
I put Sheamus. What did I put here? Morrison throws Sheamus onto a table inside the ring to outside. Sheamus breaks it with his forearm. Absolutely missed the table with his body.
Yes.
That did not look like it was executed how it was playing.
No, it did not. They're like, oh man, through the table. He was like, that was nasty. And it was like, yeah. You can't have an arm hit the table and call it a table bump. Wasn't that what happened to, was it Bunny or Penelope Ford? I don't remember, where they overshot the table and it was like just their legs hit the table and the rest of them hit the barricade in AEW recently. It reminded me of that, where it was just probably too much adrenaline going at that time and Whiff City. But it was gnarly, and I'm glad he got back up. And then that was a great spirit bomb at the end to finish out.
Yes. Yeah, I love that.
On the Miz, right?
It was.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and we saw a candy cane kendo stick as well in this match. Not so much the fire extinguishers or chairs or any of that. So it's a little bit lighter.
Miz and Morrison were tossed into the big pile of gifts.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but it seemed like overall to me lighter than some of what we've seen before. I also noted that Drew powerbombed AJ through a table, and then I put Eggnog City. Yes. So we did get some eggnog. Yeah. It really, I think this match checked a lot of boxes for us. Yep. And when you just have 6 wrestlers of that caliber, right? All former or current champions in their own right, you're gonna come out with a pretty entertaining product, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was great, man. Like this is the most recent one, and we know at the time that we're recording this and this comes out, there will have been another one, which we will talk about in the following week when we break down almost 2 weeks of professional wrestling on our after Christmas show. Tyler, you and I have earned a year's worth of let's take 1 week off, and not, but we're certainly going to be catching that show to see how the Miracle on 34th Street Fight holds up this year. I'm excited for it because your boy is in it. How excited are you?
I'm so excited. He's with us always. We're just getting him prominently featured seemingly every Friday now. This is Ricochet, of course, that we're speaking of, especially for our listeners. If you're not seeing my Ricochet figure in the background here, yeah, man, it makes me so happy. Do I understand why he and Braun Strowman are now friends on TV? No, it makes no sense because of reasons that we've spoken about on air before and Braun's tweets. So that's a little disturbing. But as we're recording this, I believe Ricochet and Braun Strowman are being positioned to win that match. So I will not complain any further.
Yeah, it gives him a chance to control his narrative.
It does.
So I will take every opportunity to say that. I will do it every time, especially if it. Well, in the spirit of Christmas, I won't finish that sentence. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a blast, Tyler. I had so much fun doing these 8 nights. This, of course, is the 8th night. It is Christmas Day, and hopefully you and your family are having a great time, or you are celebrating whatever you celebrate this time, and you're just hanging out, having some fun with us, talking about pro wrestling, ridiculous things, including the Thunderdome era. Tyler, this was a blast.
Yeah, I had a blast with you, Brad. This was so fun. I always go into these projects with some pretty solid expectations for us, but I'm always amazed at how much fun I have with you when thinking about our listeners and viewers that might be tuning in. So grateful for you this Christmas. So grateful for everyone that's listening or watching this. And I think we have a really exciting year of wrestling ahead.
Yeah, I can't wait. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. This was our 8 nights of Street Fights, Miracle on 34th Street Fight breakdown. Man, that's a mouthful. I'm glad I got through it. I'm not going to tell you to donate this time. It is Christmas Day. I'm going to tell you to enjoy time with family. Call that loved one. Thank that person you're grateful for. Tell them that you care about them. And then please recycle as much of that stuff that you have lying around your living room floor as you possibly can. Hopefully you were inundated with gifts. Hopefully you can figure out what to do with those leftovers. And hopefully you had a very Merry Christmas. We know that we did. We're glad that we got to spend time with you in your homes, in your cars, on your phones, wherever we may be finding you today. Have a very Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy New Year.